to the little table and set the key down. Now there was a tiny bottle on the table. She was sure it hadn't been there before. On the bottle were the words, "Drink me." Alice was far too wise to drink a bottle just because it told her to. She knew she should see first if it was marked poison. This bottle was not marked poison, which meant that she could drink it, and drink it she did. "What a curious feeling," Alice cried. Curious indeed. Alice was shrinking. In the blink of an eye, she was only 10 inches high. Now she could go into the garden. But poor Alice, when she went to the tiny door, she found it locked again. And when she went to get the key, she discovered that she was far too small to reach it on top of the table. She sat down on the floor and cried. "There's no use crying," Alice scolded herself. She liked to pretend to be two people. But there's no use pretending to be two people now, she thought. There's hardly enough of me left to make one whole person. Just then, her eyes fell on a little glass box under the table. In it was a small cake. The words "Eat me" were written on the top in raisins. "Well, I'll eat it," said Alice. "If it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key. If it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. Either way, I'll get into the garden." Alice took the tiniest bite. "Which way?" she said to herself, and was quite surprised to find that she was still the same size. This is usually what happens when one eats cake, but Alice was by now used to strange things happening. It seemed dull for nothing to happen at all, so she took another bite. Soon she had eaten the entire cake. Chapter 2. The Pool of Tears. "Curiouser and curiouser," Alice said. She was now growing toward the ceiling. "Goodbye, feet," she added. She could barely see them anymore. "Oh, my poor little feet. I wonder who will put on your shoes and socks now." Alice kept growing. She wondered how she would get a new pair of shoes to her feet, now that she could no longer reach them. They were so very far away that she decided she would have to mail them. As she thought this, her head hit the ceiling. She was more than 9 feet tall. She quickly grabbed the golden key and hurried for the garden door. Poor Alice. She was far too huge to fit through it now. All she could do was lie down and peek into the garden with one eye. Of course, she began to cry again. "You should be ashamed," she scolded herself. "A big girl like you crying this way." It didn't help. She kept crying, shedding gallons of tears. Soon there was a large pool on the floor. It was about 4 inches deep and reached halfway down the hall. Then she heard footsteps. It was the White Rabbit. He had dressed up in a fancy suit and was carrying white gloves and a large fan. As he hurried along, he muttered, "Oh, the Duchess! She will be awful if I keep her waiting." "If you please, sir," Alice called to him. The rabbit jumped at her voice. In fact, he was so startled he dropped his fan and gloves and then ran away, leaving them behind. Alice picked up the fan and the white gloves. The hallway was so very hot. She started to fan her face, talking to herself as she did. "How strange everything is today. I wonder if I was changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I think I remember feeling a little different, but if I'm not me, the next question is, who in the world am I? That's the puzzle." She thought about all the other children she knew. She couldn't be Ada because Ada's hair was curly. She couldn't be Mabel because she knew lots of things and Mabel knew very little. "Besides," Alice said, she